both of the Challenger teams were the two teams that made it all the way through Challenger Series in the previous split. They got here and they hit a wall. They weren't able to actually make it past the bottom LCS teams, work their way into LCS. So now they want to prove that they have improved enough to be able to beat those same opponents that they could not take down last time.
Yeah, we'll find out if they can. And they had a pretty good season for themselves in Challenger. They were cruising through most of the opposition. Goldcoin was kind of their, I don't know, their mental blocker. They're the one team that they weren't really able to defeat. They lost them 3-1 in the finals. They lost them 2-0 in the match previous to that as well. So besides that, though, they won every single other match in Challenger. So they are a competent team. They are a strong team. But we'll see if they can match up to a team that's the level of Team Liquid, who has a lot of talent.
Well, it's also a matchup in a best of 5. So the drafting, the planning, the compositions are going to play a lot into this. How the teams adapt to one another will be very important. So already into the picks and bans for game number 1. It's LeBlanc, Zac, and Cho'Gath banned away by Liquid. eUnited taking Thresh, Kalista, and Caitlyn. A lot of bot lane focus out of the picture as Tristana insta-locked in for Team Liquid.
That's Tristana, very high priority. Maokai still up here. I'm going to be curious to see how high the priority for eUnited is on this champion, because it has varied a lot, even in the LCS, between these teams, where you see some teams really still thinking it is first pick worthy, and other teams were letting it completely through the draft altogether. I'm still of the opinion that Maokai should be one of those highly prioritized champions, but we're going to find out if eUnited agrees. Jarvan certainly is a strong pick and is one that can be flexed to top and jungle, so I think that makes a lot of sense to pick early on, but we'll see if they're going to give over Maokai.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of Jarvan picked up early in the past couple of weeks. A lot of teams really prioritizing what you were talking about, that strength as a flex pick, and just how good he is in both. It's not a flex pick where it's, yeah, but he's better in top. It's a flex pick that really works in both spots.
And I think that's a really good point, especially because these kind of new full tank Jarvan builds that have been coming out has made people more comfortable to play him in jungle. When he was played more traditionally as kind of a semi-DPS jungler, people felt he was more risky, but now that you can go just Cinderhulk and Knight's Vow and builds like this, people are very comfortable early picking him and playing him in either role because of the threat he can bring.
Well, tankiness and initiation is the name of the game for the first round of eUnited, as they do have the Jarvan along with that Alistar. Liquid going to respond to that by grabbing Gragas for themselves, as well as getting Syndra for Mickey before the second part of the bans come in.
And Gragas, obviously another flex pick, but we have been seeing much more of it in the jungle. Dardoch was playing it a lot in the last weeks of the LCS. We'll see how effective he can be here on it.
Sivir picked up for eUnited before the next bans kick in as well.
This is a very engage-heavy team from eUnited. And Sivir generally considered a pretty good matchup into Tristana because you can use your spell shield on that explosive shot fairly easily. You can tell when the next auto is going to pop it off or if it's just going to expire and time your spell shield appropriately with that. But I mean, Alistar in combination with the Sivir ultimate, in combination with J4's engage, like this is a very, very engage-heavy team. Tristana can buffer the rocket jump to escape some of that. Syndra, though, will be more vulnerable. And I think that these bans are quite intelligent from eUnited. When you're trying to run something that is extremely engage-heavy, Janna, Lulu, champions like this can shut down that strategy so easily. So you need to ban out what is going to kind of make your own job very difficult.
And I like seeing that, especially from a challenger team. There's often so many criticisms, even of LCS level teams, for their drafting. What were they doing with this pick? What were they doing with this ban? And to have that coherent strategy very clearly visible here is a good omen for this team.
Yeah, and it speaks to preparation. You talked about the difference in a best of 5 versus in these shorter series, in best of 2s, best of 3s, as a lot of the Challenger series is. And this is something that you can prep for, that you can really think through, especially the first draft. They know what TL plays, they know what TL likes to do, and you can have most of these picks mapped out. And Shen, again, is kind of leaning more towards this hard engage style. You can throw down the Stand United on what we now know is going to be a Jarvan jungle or the Alistar. You can set up really aggressive early plays. That's what I want to see from the Shen pick. Because if you're using the Shen Stand United just defensively, I really don't feel like it's that powerful.
Right.
You need to be proactive about it. You need to choose when you're going to fight, and that's what Shen can allow you to do.
And this eUnited team is looking a lot like those compositions that we've seen more and more and more of lately since tank meta sort of came back into popularity. 2 carries, 3 giant meatballs on the front line that are impossible to get through. And if the carries get ahead, if that team has an advantage over you, how do they lose? They're just too hard to kill.
And there are a lot of options still on. Well, it's going to be a very quick Vladimir here. I was going to say Orianna. There's still things like Cassio. Vladimir can really work well with this because Vladimir is another dive champion. You essentially have 4 men diving enabled by a Sivir who's going to ult you and speed you up to make your dive better. This is very, very strong. That being said, if you fall behind with these sorts of compositions, you end up with really low DPS.
Yeah.
There's a lot of damage that still can come through from a Sivir, and you can kind of try to fall back on that as your late game plan, but Vladimir is not necessarily a champion who can kill frontline very well. It's much more of a diver, someone who's going to take out, the Syndra, the Tristana, maybe even the Bard, but not someone who can really just delete the frontline. So if definitely gets behind in one of these 2-threat compositions, it can go very poorly for them. But likewise, Team Liquid is running a similar comp. Yes, there is the Bard, so there's a bit of a difference there, but this is essentially a 2-threat comp from both teams. And if either one of the teams' bot lane gets really far behind, I think they will struggle to kill the other team's tanks. So you could expect a lot of focus on the bot lane.
And this is one reason why the conversation that we've had in the past, and not just you and I, but other people, has been how the games have been quicker and quicker over the course of the past few patches. And I think a lot of it does have to do with team compositions lending themselves towards this kind of construction where both teams are saying, if we get ahead, we're going to be awesome. If we get behind, GG go next.
And tanks enable you to close out games. If you have a 5,000 gold lead and you're essentially this kind of play it slow, disengaged comp, split pushing comp, you may slowly bleed your opponents out of the game. If you're up 5K, if you're up 10K with a really fed tank, you don't care about turrets anymore. You simply dive them and you end the game. And that is why I think we're seeing games close out so much more quickly.
Well, based on that, we should see a pretty rapid-fire game here. If one team gets ahead, they're the one that's going to jump out, make sure that the other team has no way to respond. They'll be diving the turrets. They'll be pulling the trigger, calling the shots. But which will it be? eUnited showing up for the 2nd time in a row from the Challenger Series, or Team Liquid again defending themselves in the promotion tournament?
One thing I will say for eUnited and their composition, generally one of the big criticisms about Challenger teams is the fact that while they can sometimes lane very well, they have strong individual players, their macro play, their map movements are not nearly as good as other teams. This composition is so straightforward. It's so easy to know what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it. Shen is often a champion that people consider kind of a stopgap for a lack of macro play because you have the double globals, you can move and clear out sideways, and you're always going to have a global to join the team. And as far as win conditions, well, you put 5 people together, you press your Sivir ult, and you engage, right?
Yep, you run at it.
Very simple, and I think that is very smart for a Challenger team to do because if they win lanes, it's very obvious how you close out the game.
If you can be that far ahead, and especially when you're running 2 ignites on this team as well, that's one thing I want to point out because we do often see differences in mid lane summoner spells. GBM going for the ignite this game wants to make sure there's that much extra kill threat on this team, which makes it that much more oppressive if they get ahead.
Exactly, and Storm Raider Surge Vladimir, people think of Vladimir as this, slow scaling champion. If you rush a Proto Belt and you're playing Storm Raider Surge with ignite, at like post level 6, your ultimate is actually crazy. With the ignite, with the Proto Belt, with all these spells. If you can proc that Storm Raider Surge, you can get in on top of them and really look for all ins.
Right now, GBM getting the better of Mickey in these trades, just moving up so far forward, waiting for that empowered transfusion.
I mean, he was winning the trade pretty heavily as far as the champions went, but he was tanking 3 range minions that whole time, whereas Mickey was not. So the fact that Mickey actually missed a couple of his skill shots, you can see they come out pretty even.
I mean, at level 1, and most abilities do around, what, 60, 70 damage, while a caster minion has 24 auto attack damage. So taking a couple of waves of those will even out missing that ability early on. Minions actually do a lot more than you'd think during the early laning phase, but
especially cannon minions. That's one of the things I think a lot of people don't necessarily understand about trading in League of Legends is how much you have to respect the minion wave, how careful you have to be around especially those cannon waves in the early games. And we can see for now, eUnited getting shoved in very hard. It can be tough to actually lane passively as an Alistar. You either all in or you get bullied. It's pretty much one or the other, and they are looking for one of those aggressive trades, trying to get something done here on Piglet.
Nice stun into the wall, ignite down, Zeyzal on the run. One more auto attack may have been enough, but they will not find it. eUnited keep their support alive for now.
The heal is down though, and they are playing this very, very aggressively. Zeyzal getting chunked pretty low. He has some potions to regen back up. We'll see if Dandy is going to come down here. He has taken a very smart route, and we'll be able to use the Blast Cone to get down. But at the same time, Matt is anticipating this. Matt is actually over by the golems where he would be coming in for either counter jungling or that gank.
So Matt with a good read on that, thinking, you know, if I was Dandy right now, this is what I might be thinking of doing. Properly reads that situation. Dandy will not go for that. Dardoch now going to find his own Krugs that were warded.
And you can see at the same time, Lorlo was actually checking the enemy Krugs. He walked over there. He's trying to scout out where Dandy could be. So Matt's checking their Krugs, they check the enemy Krugs, and they're getting an idea on the map of where this Jarvan could be, where they need to be wary of him. And that's why you see Mickey actually playing to the top side of mid lane. He's going to be able to ward up there. He's going to try to play very safely because they're expecting that Jarvan could be around mid and Jarvan could be around the bottom side of the map.
Jungle 2017, war on Krugs. Lorlo backing up now as Licorice continues to go for those aggressive trades. You saw previously the camera just panned past it, but Lorlo was a little bit late on the steadfast presence before in terms of stopping the taunt, so he still got hit by it anyway, which if you're playing Poppy, you've got to be able to come in on the clutch with those presences and stop the dashes, because that's a big part of what you do.
Exactly, it's about the playmaking. The actual damage that you put out is very low, but your stun is very impactful. Your ultimate knocking someone out of the fight is extremely impactful. And against a Jarvan, an Alistar, and a J4, you can actually stop their engage very, very heavily if you can time your heroic presence very well.
Yeah, if that Poppy's played correctly, he'll have the ability to shut down so many elements of this hard engage composition that you brought up in the draft is the central focus of this team. When Sivir pops that ulti and everybody runs in together, it's going to cause a lot of problems if all of a sudden half of the guys can't fight anymore.
And Dardoch is actually wrapped around behind here, though. Zeyzal dropped a ward to spot this out, so they have seen that he is here. They won't be able to look for any dive, but Piglet and Matt are actually getting a lot of damage down on the turret, and that is going to be somewhat of a worry for the eUnited team. Licorice has roamed mid, though. They have a three-man squad here, and they're looking for Mickey, but he is playing to the bot side of the map as his ward on the top side expired. So this is very intelligent play from Mickey, and just his positioning alone will be enough to dissuade eUnited from looking for this gank.
Yep, Mickey walks off the waiting side where Dardoch was ready for him. Dandy shows up, Dardoch shows up. Dandy does have one level up on Dardoch right now. So Mickey getting some nice damage on the GBM. Hits level 6, but not really in a position to go for the all-in. Doesn't have an ignite himself, so GBM walks himself away.
But, I mean, the fact that he is 6 now, if he can hit one skill shot, he can actually threaten for the ult. If you can force out the pool, you can threaten with that ultimate. So we'll see how GBM is going to play this. Dardoch has been spotted out on the ward, but for now they're just kind of zoning him off, and they're pressuring very heavily.
Bard Q misses, Stand United potentially going to be coming in here. Licorice goes through the magical journey, finds the taunt now onto Matt, who gets himself into a lot of trouble. Going to be taken down here. First blood over to Deathly.
It goes right to the Sivir as well, so Deathly grabbing the first blood there. Nice play. We talked about how they need to be proactive with the Stand United. As soon as Licorice is 6, they immediately use it with the Alistar. They find the engage. They get both flashes out of TL, so they can even look to repeat. This is a great start for eUnited.
Ooh, nice steal away on that Scuttle Crab as well. Dandy holding that until the last second that he needed to, and then stealing away from Dardoch. So 70 extra gold for him, 70 that Dardoch won't have, plus that extra bit of map control in bottom lane as well. Dardoch coming back in there, and remember that both these junglers actually get so much more gank power when they hit level 6 too. Cataclysm pretty much guarantees a flash force or a kill if they don't have the flash, and Dardoch's cast can do more than enough work in its own right as Matt roams around, sets down a couple of wards, grabs some chimes, spooks Dandy.
Especially when Dardoch still has his flash, the body slam flash combo in combination with that explosive cask is almost unavoidable, and here is the play once again. Stand United is available. They go immediately in for it. The flash comes out from Piglet, but the second half of the combo catches Matt anyway, and then they're able to just chase forward. Nice taunt comes in from Licorice. The flash was already used, so they can follow through and give the kill over to Deathly. It's also such an important kill, even more important because of the fact that they were being pressured very heavily on that turret. You don't want to just sit back and passively give up the turret. You need to be able to fight back. You need to be able to kind of hold on in this lane, and that's giving them the opportunity to do just that. And you can see the warding down around the bottom part of the map now from eUnited as well, keeping an eye on the river and the jungle entrances to that lane in case Dardoch wants to come down there and try to equalize things a little bit for them. They don't want to lose that slight lead that they've found for themselves. Very smart out of them. Nice stun from Mickey onto GBM, and GBM's really starting to struggle here in the mid lane now, looking for that all-in. Dandy comes in, finds the Cataclysm, and Mickey's going to be long for this world no more.
Another kill for eUnited.
Yeah, very nice all in there. Neither mid laner has based. So when junglers are entering the equation, you're so weak in comparison to those players. This is a level 6 Dandy who has already spent his gold. Mickey was sitting in lane on just that Doran's ring. He doesn't have a lot of power in him, and they get both summoners out. It is a trade, but they get the kill.
And as soon as Mickey had flashed away from GBM, kaboom, he gets ultied by the Jarvan.
Exactly, and GBM setting this up very well. He's about to get his empowered Q. He goes immediately forward, flash, ignite, ult. He procs the Storm Raiders, goes in. Dandy locking him up with those summoners down, no chance to escape. Very well executed here so far from eUnited. They're actually looking really good.
And now with Mickey's flash down, remember that Cataclysm has a significantly lower cooldown than a flash does. So if Dandy wants to make some repeat visits to mid lane, I'm sure GBM would not be disappointed with that at all.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that Licorice almost has his Stand United back up, they could actually look for plays on the bot side. We know that Piglet and Matt are without a flash. So there's a lot of options here for Dandy. They could look for 4-man plays bot. They can continue to attack that because the fact that their turret is being pressured, it does expose Matt and Piglet to these ganks and to these plays. And I think that's a big reason why we're seeing Dandy down here trying to put on pressure and trying to keep their turrets afloat.
Matt hanging around, saying, I know you're here. Even though you're killing my wards, I'm just going to stand there anyway. Dandy forced away for the time being, but just looping around, still thinking about that bot lane. If he can get an opportunity down there, throws down a control ward just to make sure he's not spotted in enemy territory. And I really like that play too, because there's a lot of times where you see somebody make an invade like that. Nice minding. But they end up walking over some wards, they get themselves caught out, it can be trouble. Dandy's making sure he's not caught in a situation like that.
It's a very smart play, being able to get those wards down and to keep the pressure down there. At the same time, we see Dardoch up on the top side. They may try to pull off a dive, but Shen is quite healthy, and the evade coming in from Zeyzal and Deathly, knowing that Dandy is there, they're going to look for the play.
Headbutt pulverized. Matt trying to get himself away, but I don't think he's going to make it, Azael. Just keeping himself alive an extra minute, and Deathly grabs himself kill number
nice
2.
taunt away.
Licorice escapes Team Liquid's counterattack in the top lane.
Yeah, this is actually really smart from Licorice, knowing that Mickey is missing. TL's trying to trade for first turret. We'll see if this can actually be challenged by eUnited. I don't think that Licorice can stop this, and they're a lot faster on the play, so despite the fact that they do lose a kill on bot side, they will get the first turret gold on the top side. So a nice reaction from TL and a good trade back, keeping the gold very close.
Absolutely. That's what they needed to make sure this game didn't start running away from them. We mentioned it at the start, and I'm going to go back to it again now. If you find yourself at too big a gold deficit, considering both these team comps are the 3-brick, 2-threat compositions, and not so much of a brick for Bard, but you get the idea. It's still going to be a very tall mountain to climb to get back in. All right, 2.5 bricks versus 3 bricks, 2.5 rounds up to 3. It's still going to be very difficult for either one of these teams to come back from that. So you've got to make sure that it stays close. GBM now finding himself in a 1 versus 2. Pops the pool, but now he's in some real trouble.
Well, Stand United, though, they can turn this around.
GBM might be able to find the reversal here as the taunt onto Dardoch. Nearly seals his fate, and GBM finds the damage.
Really nicely done. They're not respecting that Shen ultimate coming in, and GBM has the confidence he can go for the kill. Matt may be able to chase down Deathly.
Matt looking for the solo kill here. The Bard muscles being flexed. Won't quite find it, though. Stun comes in onto Zeyzal.
No summoners.
Gets himself dove yet again. The dunk comes through. Dandy grabs himself kill number 1, kill number 5 for his team. Liquid still yet to be on the board in kills. They've got themselves 2 turrets, but eUnited's about to find their first.
They're playing the map better. They are pressuring the lanes better, and that's why they're close in the gold. But the fact that eUnited has picked up all these kills, if they can actually convert on some more and cash in on the turrets, they'll have a significant lead. I mean, the fact also is that they've given the kills right over where they want them. It's Sivir and Vladimir with 2 kills apiece.
Sivir with Eye Edge, Vladimir with Proto Belt. Let's take a look at what they thought they had on GBM one more time.
And this is something you always have to take into consideration. Is Shen available to have this ultimate? And if he is, can you actually stop the ultimate? If you cannot, you can't necessarily look for these plays. So GBM plays it very aggressively on Dardoch, who is pretty squishy still early on in the game. The ultimate comes in. They now know that Mickey has no summoners. Easy wraparound here from Zeyzal. He can set up the dive very, very easily as the Cataclysm is still available. And a lot of patience there as well, waiting for the Scatter of the Week to be used so that he can confirm that combo.
Meanwhile, topside, Liquid gets their first kill of the game. Piglet picking that up against Licorice. And that is where they want it as well. Talking about putting the kills on the right people, this Tristana needs to scale and needs to get there as quickly as possible.
That's what they're doing. They're going to try to look to snowball this into a Rift Herald. They still have some pressure on the map. For now, GBM is pushing bot side, and eUnited's answer will be a dragon. We have seen Dandy playing pretty aggressively in the Team Liquid jungle, trying to ward this up, trying to take this away, and you can tell that's their focus. If you look at the red side quadrant of the map for TL, there's so many wards from eUnited along there, and it's kind of just been a trade of jungle vision and of jungle farm.
And I can totally understand playing around your bottom lane in compositions like this, right? You talked about if Deathly falls behind, how are you going to deal with the tanks on the side of Liquid? What is the answer to the Gragas or the Poppy when Vladimir doesn't really have that tank-busting power? He's all about getting into the backline on top of Mickey, on top of Piglet. So making sure that they're prioritizing Deathly like this, I really like the game plan from eUnited, especially since that Sivir already has the Infinity Edge. She's on her way to scaling up. Both of these AD carries are those that generally like to hit that 3-item power spike. So whoever can hit that spot first, especially if they hit it significantly far ahead of their opponent, will be a much bigger threat.
Yeah, they really will. And Vladimir in combination specifically with Sivir can be a very powerful AoE combo because Vladimir's ultimate actually amps the ricochet damage of Sivir. So when you throw down that ultimate, it's 10% increased damage that they are taking, and then you're ricocheting all these crits around when you are on your 2-3 items as Sivir, and you can start to just chunk people down so heavily because Sivir can just hit the front line, and if you get one ricochet crit to the back line onto someone like the Syndra or the Tristana, that can be enough for your front line to actually just finish them off.
Vladimir's second item also looking like it's going to be Zhonya's Hourglass. So going for that powerful diving tool that can just drop all the aggro, allow him to go in completely haphazardly, blow his entire combo, and not worry about being taken down in retaliation. Zeyzal and Dandy now finding Lorlo in his own topside jungle. Nice ulti from him to get away.
It will have to go out. We could have seen Dandy try to use his ultimate to actually avoid the Poppy ultimate and maybe force out that flash, but TL on the bot side already preempting the play. They're on the tier 2 turret and they have the Rift Herald, so they can look to actually threaten the inhibitor turret here. eUnited, again, a little bit slower on these map plays.
And that's what you said earlier, Azale. This is what people often criticize about challenger teams. The map play is where they fall short compared to their LCS counterparts. And right now, that's the story for eUnited. Liquid now, multiple members here in the mid lane looking for the tier 1. GBM trying to stop this in power transfusion onto Lorlo. Pulverize misses from Zeyzal, just an inch too far away.
Yeah, not quite able to find it. They may have been able to force something there, but this is almost always the case. Even for the lower tier LCS teams, there is a difference in the class of these teams, and that's why you really don't often see the challenger teams actually winning out in the promo tournament unless it's one of those kind of super teams that has been built up that is really either combined of a lot of already people who have been in the LCS like FlyQuest was, or like some of the teams in the past, or that it just has so much talent that they can kind of overcome the fact that they're a weaker macro team.
Right. The macro has so much to do with whether or not you can win the game. It's not how you win. No, it is how you win. It's not if you win just that. It's how you do it. How convincingly can you win? How quickly? How cleanly? Everything factors into it. And if that's how this is working for these teams, if you're trying to make sure that you can translate those leads into actual victories, the map play, you just can't ignore it. And Dandy now farming up some of the enemy Krugs. He's got Licorice next to him. The tanks are starting to get tanky too. So these guys are quickly going to hit the point where the enemy carries will have a difficult time bringing them down in an effective way. And the front-to-back life is going to,
especially for TL, because Shen is actually going towards a Titanic Hydra very early. So he's going to have health, but he's not going to have that many resistances. Whereas Poppy is just going straight probably for a Spirit Visage or something like that second. Already has a Sunfire, already has Tabbies. So Poppy is going to be very, very tanky and annoying to deal with. We'll see how these two teams do actually match up in a 5v5 if they do ever meet. I want to see eUnited continue to be proactive though, because their proactive plays is how they have gotten their lead. The Shen ultimate is up, TP is up. You need to look to continue to force this. If you are willing to sit back and just kind of play passively, TL is going to continue to pressure on the map, look to go for these turrets and try to bleed you out.
Yeah, EU needs to play their game, not play Team Liquid's game. Team Liquid will win out if they are allowed to make those rotations, but eUnited has caught them off guard a couple of times so far. GBM now going to run into Dardoch, pops the pool very early, finds some damage on Matt as well. Stand United comes in, ulti down from the Vlad. Matt flashing into his own ulti to stay alive, but now Dandy's going to be ready and waiting. GBM barely getting himself away. Dardoch finding the return kill. Matt still alive somehow, but the damage out onto Team Liquid is going to eviscerate them. A double kill for Deathly as they continue looking for more. Piglet and Matt both dead. It's a 1-for-2 in the favor of eUnited.
Dardoch has
still getting himself
flash. He
chased
could actually
down.
go for this, but Dardoch is going to flash early, will get out, and that was such a good move from Licorice. Stand United coming in. He finds the taunt on both Piglet and Mickey, and that really was the fight decider. Very well done from them. We'll see how much more they can actually get off the map from this, though, because we have definitely in the top lane pushing, and Smite Fight goes the way of Dardoch.
Dardoch doing a good job securing that, and now Dandy put himself in a really, really bad spot, forced to use his own flash to get out of here. Zeyzal comes in to make sure that Mickey and Dardoch can't clean this one up, but that was honestly just a free summoner spell expenditure from Dandy.
They really wanted to try to steal away that red, try to continue to look for more, but here is the play again. GBM starting it off. We can see Shen actually was not spotted by Lorlo. Lorlo wanted to try to interrupt this Stand United, but doesn't actually have enough time, doesn't know where he is. And then watch this taunt. Mickey and Piglet stacking up. Nice taunt, gets just both of the carries, and actually a lot of damage coming up because he already had his completed Titanic Hydra there. So the pass-through Q plus the Titanic Hydra, chunking down those carries, allowing Deftly to flash in, finish off Piglet, and that really was the end of the fight.
eUnited continues to play the fights better while Liquid continues to play the map better. That's just been how this game goes. And honestly, the fact that eUnited has played every single fight to their advantage says a lot about this team.
The item completions are also coming in very quickly. 2 items on both of the carries here for eUnited, so they can continue to push the pace and look for these plays. Zhonya's and that Proto Belt done on GBM means he can dive so easily. We also see that the rapid fire cannon is going to allow Deftly to kind of get involved in these fights a little bit more easily as well. If he can get that one key crit on someone like Piglet or Mickey, the rest of the dive is so much easier to actually perform for eUnited. So as their cooldowns come up, look for them to continue to force the plays. TP advantage does go to eUnited, so they should be pressuring for things like the Dragon.
And they will right now. Deftly, Zeyzal, and Dandy working together to take this one down. Deftly deciding to just bail out. He knows his teammates can take care of that. He's got some minions to farm in the bottom lane. Also worth noting, currently there are 4 out of 5 flashes down on the side of Team Liquid. And when you have Jarvan on your team, that is a huge indicator that a fight can go your way easily.
Exactly. Jarvan, Alistar setting this up is so strong. If you can get in range, you don't even need to go for the Flag and Drag combo. Just hit that ultimate, lock them in. You have then the Ricochet damage coming out, the Vladimir ultimate coming out. All this AoE on anyone who is locked into that Cataclysm is almost a sure kill.
eUnited, I want to see them do what you mentioned earlier, Azael. Take your advantage, group up, death ball down some kind of lane, and force the issue. Make Liquid respond to you.
But this is your big window of opportunity. When you have no global on Lorlo and you have 2 globals on Licorice, you need to be looking for engages. You need to be pushing the pace because you have a big advantage. And right now, it's actually Piglet going down to bot side, so they're looking to try to collapse and make a play on the global. We'll see if eUnited can actually respond to this, because they should at the very least be able to secure vision around the Baron and try to threaten that if multiple people show bottom.
You can see them doing that right now. Piglet does walk past a little bit of exposure down there on the bot side. eUnited still seeing, not finding anything just yet. Team Liquid playing it carefully, recognizing they're in a 3 versus 5, well, 3 versus 4 situation with the Shen across the map. Would likely be interrupted by the Poppy.
Really smart play, though, from Licorice. They hadn't actually seen Piglet on the map for quite some time, and he starts playing very defensively, respecting the fact that he could be there, that they could be looking for that play onto him. Because if you can attack the global, you can turn things around, but they're looking for the engage now.
Here we go. Stun from Mickey. Instantly flips that switch back into the off position.
Yeah,
all right.
No one able to fully commit there. Perhaps jumping the gun a little bit. They know that their window of opportunity was closing on the teleport advantage, and Lorlo does have that back now.
And here's the thing, too. Second items are now completed on the Team Liquid carries, as well as their eUnited counterparts. The Banshee's Veil for the Syndra, the Static Shiv for the Tristana. That window closing couldn't be more true. The item advantage is now no longer in eUnited's favor. Really, it's still a 2,000 gold game apart, but when that 2,000 gold is the difference between a completed item, it just means more, and it doesn't mean that at this point.
Exactly. I do still think that they can win these 5v5 fights if they can find the proper engage. They are looking for it now, perhaps. They have the Stand United. Will they pull the trigger? In they go.
Zeyzal going in. Matt going to be targeted. GBM from behind. Stand United on top of him as well. Piglet has been found. Zeyzal still looking for him. Nice flash taunt coming out from Licorice. Piglet barely getting himself away. The stun onto GBM from the Bard. Dandy comes right back into the fight, finds the Cataclysm onto 2. Lorlo going to be running away now as well. Empowered Transfusion still waiting. Stun over the wall will not find GBM, who goes into the pool, and Team Liquid gets themselves out.
Yeah, they're able to escape. There wasn't actually a flash forward committed from GBM to avoid that Bard ultimate, and the Buster Shot coming out of Piglet barely keeps him alive. Licorice almost took him down, but now they're going to try to force onto the Baron. Piglet has shown bot side, so they know the AD carry cannot be here. They probably need to turn to fight, though. Dardoch does have his smite available.
You don't want this to be a 50-50. Dardoch gonna be knocked up into the air. eUnited, though, maybe in some trouble here. Lorlo into the back line. Dardoch finding the kill onto Zeyzal. Dandy taken down too. Team Liquid destroying eUnited. GBM grabbing the kill onto Matt, but now has to pop his own Zonias to live.
Piglet's on the inhibitor.
Damage here. Lorlo takes down GBM. Piglet still doing work across the map as eUnited flees this one. A tragic Baron call for the challengers could seal their fate. Lorlo still chasing after Deathly, but he does not even need to worry about it that much longer. Piglet with free firing time on this inhib should take it.
Yeah, they just lost so much from this play. They fail the Baron play, they lose their inhibitor and their inhibitor turret, and TL just got such a massive advantage and will be able to pressure the Baron themselves with that bottom inhibitor down.
Multiple kills, bot lane inhib turret, bot lane inhib, mid lane tier 1 turret. So much of an avalanche of resources just fell into Liquid's hands from that bad call from eUnited. And those are the kind of mistakes you can't make.
And from honestly, just not enough execution in the initial fight. And this is actually the Baron replay. We're not going to get to see the previous fight that prompted this. They felt like they had to go for this, knowing that Piglet was on the bot side, and they are planning to actually turn for the fight. But a great body slam in there from Dardoch sets up a nice binding from Matt, and they're able to get a lot of CC down. GBM is so low, he has to play fairly defensively, and definitely, I think, is still kind of scared of getting popped in the fight, but the fact that Syndra had her ultimate down maybe means he should have played more aggressively, tried to get something more. It is tough to say, but the fact that they lose out on the 4v5 means Piglet is getting so much for free on the other side of the map, and really, eUnited comes out way behind.
Now eUnited finds themselves on the back foot, or at least even footing for the first time this game.
And it's kind of crazy to think, what would this whole series of events have looked like had GBM actually just flashed onto Piglet and finished him off? Right. Because Piglet was exceptionally low, and GBM didn't commit his flash right off the bat. Piglet got out with about 10% health, and then got an inhibitor and an inhibitor turret off that. If there had been a bit more commitment to the kill on the carry, maybe it's a totally different game.
Now the stun onto Dandy, who tries to get himself out with the combo, will successfully do so. The Bard stun pretty much only occurring during the animation of the flag and drag, so not really getting a lot out of that CC in this one. But you can see how the entire momentum of the game has just changed now, Azale. It's Team Liquid flexing muscles in enemy territory, taking away the buffs, challenging their opponents. Come answer us now.
GBM is behind the team, though. They're going to look for a flank here. We'll see if he can find it.
Liquid trying to get themselves out. Nice steadfast presence, going to be keeping Piglet safe as he flashes over the wall. Dandy going to be soaking the damage now, too. Matt will buy a couple of seconds in the fight with his ulti. The stun comes out onto Zeyzal, but he's a very tanky Alistair. Trying to turn this one back around onto Liquid. Lorlo bagging himself away. More stuns from Team Liquid.
Licorice getting melted.
Licorice the first one to go down. Matt comes in over through the side. Mickey going to be going with him. More taunts through. Zeyzal going to be dropping next. GBM still in the back line, but he's there alone. A shutdown for Piglet. GBM drops next, and Team Liquid finds their fight.
That's probably the game. They can actually just go end through bot here. For TL, they're going to run straight there. And TL looking like they're going to jump out to an early lead in the promo tournament.
Team Liquid, it looked so shaky early on. So many lost fights during the early game. But now that Baron throw from eUnited, Team Liquid's knowledge of how to take the game and win it afterwards, that's what I was talking about, Azale. It's not just whether you win, it's how you do it. And Liquid did it very quickly. As soon as they were given the opportunity, they will take the turrets, take the Nexus, and take game one of this best of 5. Just as soon as they're done goofing around with Zeyzal.
Now Liquid flexing their macro muscles here. The kills early on definitely did go the way of eUnited, but eUnited was not able to match them in this macro play, despite the fact that they had the global advantage with the Shen, despite the fact that they had the go button to actually choose a lot of these fights. They weren't able to execute on the map at the same level that TL was.
And like you said, with that flash potential play that could have happened from GBM in that fateful fight before the Baron, eUnited executed in so many fights. And in the fight they needed to execute in, they dropped the ball.
I mean, if you're losing on the map, you can't lose the fight and lose on the map at the same time, right? It's one or the other. If you're winning the fights but you're bleeding out some turrets, you can still stay even or maybe even stay ahead. But when Teal is playing the map better, knocking down turrets constantly, and then you lose a team fight, then the whole game falls apart. And it seemed like that's kind of what happened to eUnited. But it was a very close game, and had Piglet actually died in that fight, maybe it's eUnited who gets the Baron, and their inhibitor is still alive, and maybe they can take the game.
For more on that Team Liquid win, we're going to go ahead and check in with the analysts.
All right, thank you very much, Captain Flowers. And just like you said, it's not about how you win, it's about the fact that you win. And Team Liquid was doing a lot of losing until they won.
It is about how you win, like 4 times.
How fast you win.
The way you win.
Fast.
What champions you play. Yeah. So, but that's
game was
exactly what happened. We saw eUnited jump out to an early lead, put a lot of pressure on the Team Liquid, and they weren't quite ready for it.
Yeah, I mean, we got to see what looked like a really good early start for eUnited. They got kills bot lane, they generated kills in the mid lane, they had a Vladimir Sivir, so you think they're going to have this great scaling, but they lost in 27 minutes.
Well, I mean, a big part of it was, yes, Dandy did have some good ganks, and they actually coordinated pretty well with the lanes. They were losing in CS early in the lanes, and then they, started losing the towers first. So Team Liquid already at the beginning kind of had this little edge on macro, and then at the Baron throw, that is the biggest thing that blows this game open.
Right. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the replays that we have pulled up here. eUnited just putting a lot of pressure across the map, and Team Liquid not dealing with it well.
Yeah, you can see Zazulin definitely played pretty well around Licorice. The instant Shen hit level 6, Alistair goes in, and there was no escape from that.
It seemed like there were a couple moments in this game where they did not account for the Shen ultimate. One time Dardoch in mid lane also, goes for the gank on GBM, and it seems like they didn't expect it. That was the gank with Dandy that we were talking about. They were able to pull GBM out of that CS deficit where Mickey, we said, he wants to play, there's the Shen one, Mickey wants to play this aggressive style, and he was punishing in this matchup, and he was abusing and getting a CS lead, but then he gets attacked, right? By multiple people, multiple times in the mid lane, and it starts to build a gold lead for eUnited for them to actually move through the mid game.
And one of the big things that I felt like was happening was that eUnited was taking advantage of the fact that Team Liquid just didn't look too organized, and we have another replay here at 1820 where kind of a questionable tempered fate here out of Matt.
Oh yeah, I mean, Team Liquid did look fairly out of sorts in the moments of coordination, but where they were okay was actually in their macro gaming compared to eUnited. Watching this, like,
what?
Yeah, you can do that.
Worth? Yeah. So you guys heard us all these question marks. I was thinking that Matt didn't want to hit Piglet or make Piglet move with his tempered fate. That's why he shot it further away and then ended up having to flash into his own.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's like a good answer.
He may have been trying to stop the initiation from Dandy, but was maybe a little short on it, and then he got really low. So a lot of questionable moves there, but he actually lived pretty long in that fight that they ended up losing because of the Bard ultimate. But that did kind of just display the chaos that was evident in the mid game there.
Yeah, and it's been evident throughout the season for Team Liquid as they haven't been able to find anything, but they were able to go ahead and find a big-time Baron call. They sniffed it out after eUnited had a pretty good fight, and then were able to turn it around here.
Yeah, and this was the game. This was eUnited trying to force Baron without very good health bars. They hadn't even killed Piglet. He decides to not go back to base and just push, and it's just a matter of them chaining CC together very well as the Baron helping out a lot on damage that allowed them to clean up. We're so early in the game as well, eUnited can't burst Baron quickly.
Yeah, there's a couple of big factors in this fight. Lorlo has his teleport, so he teleports full health back out onto the fight, and Team Liquid, even though Piglet had gotten chunked out and probably should have been killed by eUnited moments before that, they said, okay, you're too low health, he goes down to push, so they have big rewards to gain if they can stop this Baron. Not only do they stop it, but there's hesitation from eUnited, I think, in the Baron pit, and they do take a lot of damage, as you're talking about, from the Baron and that combo, and with Lorlo coming back in, they get absolutely wiped, which, as you said, is the game. Huge snowball there.
Yeah, overall, I think it was a bad call. Sivir, Vladimir, don't kill Baron very fast. Shen doesn't kill Baron fast. Jarvan helps a little bit with his attack speed, but not a great Baron killer. They couldn't kill it fast, and then even if they're baiting for a fight, it took them so long to bait that they were incredibly low beforehand. And this does remind us of the fact that the NACS and the NA LCS are very different leagues. Team Liquid would have 3,000 to 5,000 gold leads against a lot of LCS teams, and then throw out Baron to do the same. And you see the actual opposite there, where Team Liquid is the good macro team that punishes the other team for their Baron and macro mistakes. And They win in 27 minutes.
Yeah, a little liquid here in eUnited. But don't you appreciate the fact that we're making aggressive calls, that they were trying to go and win rather than just hope that something would happen?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the fact that they were making great ganks. Danny's ganks down bottom. The Alistair was being very proactive with the plays. But even when they were up 4 or 5 kills, they were up 1,000 gold. They were down in turrets pretty much the whole game. They were down in CS for a lot of it. So in some ways, Liquid actually outclassed eUnited in this game, and the macro play was the icing on the cake.
I think this is going to be a pretty interesting series, and I think that eUnited still has a good chance, to come back in it. So definitely want to get to game number 2 and see if Team Liquid are actually going to make the second game less close, and show that class you're talking about.
Well, we appreciate you guys here and your expertise. And you know what? We're going to go ahead and head for a break real quick, but there's more to come up. Game 2 of eUnited versus Team Liquid when we return and come back after.